All right, this podcast is on the renal subcircuit, how blood's going to go into the kidney and come back out. Very important for dialysis purposes and for x-ray techs to know the pattern. So I have a list of all the blood vessels that the blood goes through, and then I'm going to draw it on the board separately so that you can draw it yourself, because once you draw it a couple times, it imprints it in your brain better and you'll remember it faster. So I have all the blood vessels in order: red for arteries, green for capillaries, which are the smallest arteries in the human body, and then blue over here for the vein portion, returning it back to the right side of the heart. And so over here, I did not use abbreviations except for artery. Capital A is always the artery. And then over here, I use the abbreviations for the names of these arteries as the vein. And so basically, for every artery and vein, basically they have the same name. There's just a few arteries and veins in the human body that don't have the same name. Like the biggest one coming off of the left side of the heart is the aorta, and its companion vein going to the right side is the vena cavas, right? So, and then in the neck, we have another set. We have carotids going up to the brain, and we have jugulars. So we don't have jugular arteries, and we don't have carotid veins. And so those are just a few of there's only like 3 or 4 that are mismatched in terms of names. So I used abbreviations over here. These can all be abbreviated, the arteries also. But basically in my drawing, I am actually going to use the abbreviations because it's faster to do. All right, so first of all, I have the heart right here. I have the right side of the heart is always drawn in blue because the blood is high in CO2, okay? And so that's why it's always blue, and so high CO2. Okay, great. But this isn't for the pulmonary system anyway, but just to let you know that. And why do they always do the left side of the heart in red? Because it's high in oxygen. Blood just came back from the lungs, and so it's going to be high in O2. All right, but again, this is not the respiratory system. All right, so now we're going to start, and we're going to go to the kidney. So the kidneys are in the abdomen, all right? And so here is the renal capsule. And so the kidneys look like a kidney bean shape, and so they have an indent right here, indented area, and we call that indented area the hilus of the kidney. And so here's the renal capsule right here, because it's a solid organ, and the outside boundary of simple squamous dense reg is called the renal capsule. All right, so now here goes our story. And so basically we're going to start with the left side of the heart, okay, the left side of the heart, and blood's going to come out the left side of the heart and go down the biggest artery in the human body called the aorta. And so blood's going to come down, and it's going to take the exit, so just think like streets or highways. This is the main highway coming down the middle of the body, and off the descending aorta, D aorta stands for descending aorta, we are going to take the exit known as the renal artery, okay? So the renal artery is going to go right to the capsule of the kidney. So this is step number 1, and that's going to be the renal artery. And I have that listed over there. So now the renal artery penetrates, goes through the capsule, and immediately it splits. Half of it goes up and half goes down. And so now this becomes a new artery. It's all the same artery, but now because it splits and it's going to get smaller, we're going to have to rename it. It's just like streets that change their names. And so we're coming in on the main highway, renal artery, and now we got the split. And it goes definitely vertical. So this is number 2. And number 2 is the segmental artery. Segmental artery, and they're both called the same thing, like that. Now the segmental artery is going to get smaller, and I like to think of these as like lobster claws. Lobster claws, and it gives off two sets of smaller arteries, and these are all named the same thing. Number 3, 3, 3. And so these are called the lobar arteries. Lobar arteries, and you can abbreviate it lob A. And so lobar artery or lob A, okay? Now the lobars are going to continue to get smaller, and so they give off like little baby lobster or crab claws, lobster claws like that. And so what do we call all these? The same thing. And so these are number 4, and they are called interlobar arteries. Interlobar arteries, and you can abbreviate that I-lob artery. I-lob artery. And so again, number 4s, all of these are named the same thing. The little lobster claws are the I-lob arteries. I-lob artery. All right, now, do you think these all branch again? No. Now they're all going to connect because the blood has to stay in the same system here. And so now they're going to arch over. They're going to make the arches right here. The arches. And so we're going to have all these connecting like that. And so the arches are going to be number 5 artery. Number 5 artery. All of these are number 5. And so what do we call number 5? The arcuate arteries. Arcuate means arch, and so in anatomy, and so it's the arcuate artery. Or you can abbreviate it the arc A. The arc A, like that. Like that. All right, so now off of the arcuates come these long, super long highways. And so each one of these will give off hundreds of these. And so basically, they're gonna go long and straight. And so I'll put one here and here. And so they can be all over, but they're gonna all go out, way out here to where the capsule is, where the end of the capsule is. And so here would be the end of the capsule, somewhere out here. Renal capsule. All right, so that's the end of the kidney. And so here, these blood vessels go all the way out. I mean, way out to underneath the capsule. And so what are we gonna call these? Well, these long superhighways straight out, these are gonna be number 6, okay? Number 6, the ones coming straight out, going out this way, okay? These are called interlobular arteries. Interlobular arteries. So it abbreviates I-lob you artery. It's like a bad I love you. I love you artery. That's how I remember it. I love you. Like a 3-year-old, 2-year-old. And so, right there. Interlobular arteries. And now the interlobular artery is going to turn. Each one of these turns like this. It's going to turn, it turns. And so the turn is called number 7. Okay, this is number 7. And so number 7 is afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole is number 7. Afferent arteriole. All right, so it's turning. It's turning. And so that's number 7. Now we go to number 8, which becomes a leaky capillary, and this is probably the most important part of the circulation pattern right here. And so now it's going to become a capillary, a twisted capillary right here. It's called a twisted capillary right here. It twists like this and goes around. And so this is number 8, okay? This is number 8 right here, like this. And it's going to leak because it's a fenestrated capillary. It's going to leak because it's a fenestrated capillary, like that. And so what is it called? The glomerulus. Glomerulus, right here. Or you can abbreviate it the glom. G-L-O-M, the glom. Glomerulus, the leaky capillary. And it drips plasma all the time, right? And something's going to catch it, called the nephron. A funnel will catch it, and then it's going to be transformed. All right, so that's the glomerulus, all right? So now, if you say afferent, you have to have an efferent, an exit one. And so off of this glomerulus, this capillary is going to turn into another tube that's going to turn and continue to go this way, like that. And so it's going to turn and go this way, like this. And so turn around like this. So this is going to be number 9, efferent arteriole, okay? And so this is number 9, efferent arteriole. Number 9. Like that. All right, now we're going to go back to green because there's one more capillary in the system. And so now this capillary is going to come down. I'm going to make this a little shorter. This capillary is going to come down like this. And basically, it looks like this. It looks like a fork. And so it's going to come down and it sort of looks like a fork. So this capillary is going to come off and go like that. Okay, looks like a fork. And so this is number 10. 10, it's called the vasa recta. And so the VR, right? And so this is number 10, the VR, number 10, VR. And so that's essentially another fenestrated capillary, okay? So over here, I'm going to add right here, the VR is its abbreviation, and the glom is the abbreviation for glomerulus. All right, so now we have plasma that's going to be coming out of here also. Plasma moving around this. All right, so those are our 2 sets of fenestrated capillaries. Now the blood has been filtered, the plasma has been filtered, and now it's going to return to the right side of the heart. And so now we have to take blue because now it's all about veins. So now this vasa recta, all these little capillaries have to be turned around. So basically it's going to go around like this and turn around and go back. All of these little capillaries are going to connect and go back. And so they connect and they go back like that. And so what do we call this? This is number 11. 11 right here is 11. And so to turn it around, 11 is the venule. Venule. Right there, 11, venule. And so here, a little bit tight, and just put venule. The venule turns it around, right there. Loops it around, turns it around, venule. All right, now all of these are named the same thing going back. So now we're gonna go down the big straight highway right here. Right here, we're coming down. So here it goes. It's going to catch a ride on the arch down here. So now we just want a big straight one coming down this way. And so what do we call this one? Well, we call it the same as the long straight one going out. And so now this is going to be number 12 right here. And so it's the I lobe you vein. And so this is number 12 right here. Interlobular vein. So 12, I lobe you vein, right there. And then it's going to take a ride on the arch. It's going to connect to a vein right here, like that. And the vein is going to go around like an arch right here. And so basically, this is going to be 13, 13, 13. And so that's going to be the arc vein, the arcuate vein, arc vein, 13. And then it's going to go down like one of the little lobster claws right here. Okay, it'll go down the lobster claw, the little ones, like this and like this. And so this will be 14, 14, 14, when they go down the little lobster claws. And so 14 is I lob vein, interlobar vein. And so I lob vein, I lob vein. Right. And now we go to the big lobster claw right here, the big lobster claw. And it'll keep coming down like that, and down here, and down here. And so all of these are going to be what? 15 right here, 15, 15, and 15. And so lobar vein, lob vein, lob vein, lobar vein. And then 16, we're going right up here. We're going to go to the segmental. And so here's 16, seg vein, 16, seg vein. And then the blood's already been filtered way up in the capillaries. So now we're in the 16, the segmental veins, and then it comes out of the kidney and goes and hooks up with the IVC. So when it comes out of the kidney, the blood has been filtered and cleaned up. And so this is the renal vein, which is number 17. And then the renal vein will take it to the IVC, which is the main vein running up the abdomen and the thorax, back to the right side of the heart. And IVC stands for inferior vena cava. And so there it goes, and we'll go back into the right side of the heart. So that is the entire pattern for the renal subcircuit. Those are the steps over there. And it is also on the back of the nephron sheet. My drawing right there also is on the back, and this will be posted on Moodle also. And you'll get a copy in class, if we're in class. So that's it for the renal subcircuit.